The situation in Ukraine, still bad, could get worse. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned that a third world war would be nuclear and destructive. Once again, it's like the go-to now with Vladimir Putin is anything that anyone does, no matter how mild. Are you saying you want a nuclear war? Do you want to go nuclear? We have missiles. Did you know that? We have submarines. They're moving their submarines, being provocative and all of that. That's not the only cause for alarm in the situation. The Ukrainian National Security and Defense Council chief also announced during a briefing just yesterday that Ukrainian forces had foiled an assassination plot against President Volodymyr Zelensky. Said that a unit of elite Chechen special forces had been behind the plot and had subsequently been eliminated. Ukrainian authorities had been tipped off about the plot by members of Russia's Federal Security Service who do not support the war. Now that is, look, assuming that all of that is true, if you do assume that, scary that they sent in these forces again to hunt for him. This is something that Zelensky had been saying. Very provocative that they're putting out there that they're members of the Federal Security Service who are actually like going against Putin behind closed doors. That said, grain of salt. That's a lot there. And just putting out the message, implying that, hey, did you know your own people are giving us information? That strikes me as the sort of thing you do to mess with the other side. And Putin is already obviously ready to crack down on the people around him. He doesn't trust them. I don't understand why he would. So assuming it's true, provocative, either way, provocative. What do you think?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is really still remnants of the Cold War. I mean, we kind of, it always shook me that it's like, oh, are we just cool with Russia now? Like everything's fine? What's going on? US involvement with the Ukraine 8 years ago. You know, the US has had its hand in a lot of these kind of situations around the world, and it creates unrest, it creates involvement on our side, and it puts a lot of people in danger. And so, you know, I feel like, for one, the Russians and the Ukrainians are very tough people. And when we are seeing these Ukrainians that are so fired up against what's happening here, I mean, middle-aged women saying that they're going to choke people out with their bare hands and kill them. And I mean, they are going to fight to the death because they have suffered so much already. And when you have a leader like Putin, you don't have real, patriotism. You have it, it's forced, so you don't have the strength that you actually think you have. It is scary because he does have nukes, and he is going to I'm afraid that he will flex his power to show the US and other major countries what he can really do. And he's crazy enough to do it, John.
100%, and obviously that has to be like the biggest single thing that we're trying to avoid, especially I mean, considering like I don't know how much people think about or know about or read about nuclear weapons, but as absolutely devastating as the dropping by us. Let's never forget that of the only two nuclear weapons that have been used in war, those were nothing compared to what we have now. So obviously has to be avoided. There should be some sort of responsibility on their part to not constantly, wildly, in such a Trumpian fashion, threaten to annihilate our entire species. But this is where we're at. By the way, Volodymyr Zelensky had another message, not just about the foreign security or the Federal Security Service. He gave a statement where he said, Russian mothers are losing their children in a completely foreign country. Think of this number, almost 6,000 Russians died, Russian military, in 6 days of war. And said that did not include deaths on Tuesday night. I'm gonna run you really fast through some numbers, then we'll talk about this. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said earlier today that it estimated 30 Russian planes, 31 helicopters, 211 tanks, 862 Russian armored personnel carriers have been destroyed. Senior Pentagon officials say that around 1,500 military personnel had been killed on each side. So obviously there's a big difference there. Ukraine's parliament also said that 2,000 civilians had been killed. Now, Russia has now come out and said they admit 498 of their soldiers have died, 1,500 more injured. There is unfortunately no reason to trust any of these numbers, not only because everyone has a vested interest in controlling the narrative about it, especially Russia, but also because in the heat of battle, it's so difficult to know exactly how many civilians have died, let alone been injured, those sorts of things. So I don't know exactly what to take away from this, except that no matter who you ask, a lot of people are dying every single day, and that's a tragedy.
It's so upsetting, John, because it's just this political war, and the actual citizens of both of these countries are suffering, even the soldiers, on the Russian side. And that's the cost of war. All of these innocent people who really don't have any skin in the game other than this ridiculous Putin, dictator deciding that he wants to kind of, swing his stick and knock everybody out and show everybody how tough he is, get up on his horse shirtless again. I'd rather he do that, honestly. Just get up on your horse again, walk around, get on a bear, whatever you got to do. This is really causing a lot of terror. I mean, there are people, Ukrainians here in the United States, who are afraid. They don't even know how their family is over there. And it's just very, very sad. This is not going to end well, no matter which side, quote unquote, wins. Nobody wins here. Yeah, exactly. Do we trust the numbers? We know people are dying. We don't know if these numbers are accurate.
Yeah, and we also try to hold so many things simultaneously in our brains. That is one of the burdens of trying to be a reasonable person who drives their involvement in politics through compassion. Also devastating for the Russian people, not only for the families of the soldiers that have needlessly died. They shouldn't be there, they shouldn't be dying, but also the literally thousands of protesters that are languishing in Russian prisons right now and have no idea what's gonna happen to them. Now, really fast, I do wanna catch you up on a few other changes. During the State of the Union, Biden announced that Russian aircraft are now gonna be banned from US airspace, joining a growing number of countries who have closed their skies to Russia following the invasion. By the way, that is like, you've probably heard no-fly zones thrown around a lot. That's not what this means. They're not setting up a no-fly zone over Ukraine or anything like that. They are not shooting down planes, but they're saying our airspace is now closed. By the way, the State Department recently has encouraged Americans in Russia to consider leaving immediately while there are still commercial flights out of the country, and says that, well, now there won't be, but there are still trains. So it could be rough there if you need to get out, but probably not a terrible idea considering where this thing is going. Any final thoughts?
This for me, we got to really rethink NATO. It's not working the way that everybody had hoped it did, and we can see that it's obviously not protecting countries the way they hoped it would protect them. It's caused a lot of problems for many decades, and so let's look at that and really take a serious look at NATO.
Yeah, well, I think that people definitely are. I'm gonna close on this. In addition to the trouble with getting out of Russia, also if you are a Russian soldier in Ukraine, you might have trouble getting around because Ukrainians are removing and altering road signs to confuse and insult Russian forces, including putting things like this Putin sign up on a sign at a gas station, and using their sort of like automated traffic signal things to put insulting messages at them. Whatever helps and whatever boosts morale, don't make it any easier on them than it needs to be.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.